The Poor Farmer and the Wizard's Gift, Part 1. The Beginning of Destiny. Long ago, beyond the reach of kingdoms and hidden behind endless green mountains, there stood a forgotten village called Ashwood. It was a peaceful place where the wind whispered through ancient oak trees, birds greeted every sunrise with cheerful songs, and the people survived by farming the fertile lands surrounding the village. Among the villagers lived a poor farmer named Ethan. Ethan was not known for his wealth, nor did he own vast fields or magnificent horses. His tiny wooden cottage stood at the very edge of the village beside an old river that nearly dried up every summer. His farmland was no larger than a single acre, and most years the crops barely produced enough food to keep him alive. Every morning before sunrise, Ethan would wake to the sound of a rusty rooster. He would quietly light a small candle, eat a piece of stale bread, and walk into his field carrying the same old wooden hoe his father had once used. Despite his difficult life, Ethan never complained. Whenever another farmer's cart became stuck in the mud, Ethan would help push it free. Whenever an elderly neighbor needed firewood, Ethan gathered it without asking for payment. Whenever hungry children wandered near his cottage, he shared whatever little food he had. Many people wondered why someone so poor continued helping everyone else. Ethan always smiled and said, "My father taught me that kindness is the only treasure no thief can steal." Years passed, yet nothing changed. Heavy storms destroyed his harvest. Long droughts cracked the earth beneath his feet. Wild animals often wandered into his fields during the night, eating the few vegetables he had managed to grow. Still, every morning he returned to work with hope. One cold autumn evening, after another failed harvest, Ethan sat beside the river watching the last rays of sunlight disappear beyond the mountains. He whispered quietly, "Perhaps tomorrow will be better." At that exact moment, something unusual happened. The wind suddenly stopped. The birds became silent. Even the flowing river seemed to freeze for a single heartbeat. A soft blue light appeared among the ancient trees across the river. At first, Ethan believed it was nothing more than fireflies, but the light grew brighter, until the entire forest shimmered with glowing silver mist. Curious but cautious, Ethan slowly crossed the old wooden bridge. Every step echoed through the silent woods. As he walked deeper into the forest, strange flowers began blooming beneath his feet, glowing with gentle golden light. The air smelled sweeter than spring. Tiny floating lights danced around the branches like stars that had fallen from the night sky. Finally, Ethan reached a small clearing. Standing in the center was an old man dressed in a deep blue robe covered with tiny silver symbols that sparkled like constellations. His beard flowed almost to the ground. His wooden staff was carved from crystal white oak. Its tip held a floating sapphire that glowed brighter than the moon. The old man smiled kindly. "I have been waiting for you." Ethan stepped backward. "Waiting for me?" The old man nodded. "Yes, Ethan." The farmer's heart nearly stopped. "You know my name?" "I know much more than your name. I know every tear you have hidden. I know every sacrifice you have made. I know every hungry night you endured while feeding others." Ethan stared in complete silence. The old man continued, "For 50 years, I have watched this valley. I have seen rich men become greedy. I have seen kings become cruel. I have seen merchants cheat the weak. But today," he smiled warmly. Ethan stepped backward. "Waiting for me?" The old man nodded. "Yes, Ethan." The farmer's heart nearly stopped. "You know my name?" "I know much more than your name. I know every tear you have hidden. I know every sacrifice you have made. I know every hungry night you endured while feeding others." Ethan stared in complete silence. The old man continued, "For 50 years, I have watched this valley. I have seen rich men become greedy. I have seen kings become cruel. I have seen merchants cheat the weak. But today," he smiled warmly, "I finally found someone whose heart remained pure." Ethan lowered his eyes. "I am just a poor farmer." The old man gently laughed. "No, you are far richer than any king." Then the mysterious stranger planted his glowing staff into the earth. The ground trembled. Ancient symbols spread across the forest floor like rivers of golden fire. The trees began glowing. The stars above seemed brighter than ever before. "My name is Aldrin. I am one of the last wizards of the First Age. For centuries, I have protected the hidden magic of this world. But my strength is fading. I must choose someone worthy." Ethan quickly shook his head. "You have chosen the wrong man. I cannot even grow enough food. I know nothing about magic." Aldrin smiled. "Magic does not choose knowledge. It chooses character." Then he raised both hands. Thousands of tiny lights rose from the ground. They circled Ethan slowly, the air filled with gentle music that seemed to come from the sky itself. Ethan felt warmth flowing through his body. His tired muscles no longer ached. His old scars disappeared. His heartbeat became calm. A bright beam of golden light descended from the heavens and surrounded him completely. The wizard spoke in an ancient language. Every word echoed like thunder. Suddenly, the light exploded across the forest. When it faded, Ethan slowly opened his eyes. Everything looked different. He could hear leaves growing. He could hear flowers blooming. He could hear water flowing beneath the earth. He could even hear the heartbeat of nearby animals. "What happened?" Aldrin smiled. "I have given you only the first gift, the gift of nature. From this day forward, the earth itself will answer your kindness. Plants will grow where you walk. Trees will obey your voice. Animals will trust your heart. But remember this, every gift carries a responsibility. If your heart ever becomes greedy, the magic will disappear forever." Ethan nodded respectfully. "I promise." The wizard looked toward the stars. "Our journey has only begun." Then, without another word, Aldrin slowly faded into thousands of glowing blue particles that drifted into the night sky. Ethan stood alone beneath the stars. He wondered if everything had been a dream. The next morning, he walked into his barren field. He gently placed one hand upon the dry soil. Within seconds, the ground trembled. Tiny green shoots emerged from the earth. Flowers bloomed instantly. Golden wheat grew taller than a man. Fruit trees appeared where nothing had stood before. Fresh water burst from the ground, forming a clear spring that flowed across the land. Birds filled the sky. Butterflies surrounded the field. Even the morning sunlight seemed brighter. Ethan fell to his knees. Tears filled his eyes. The wizard's gift was real, but far beyond the mountains, hidden inside a black castle covered by eternal storms, a pair of glowing crimson eyes slowly opened. Someone had felt the return of ancient magic, and darkness had begun to awaken.